Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the City Commission meeting this June 18, 2024. Thank you all for being here tonight. For those of you who are here for the first time, first of all, let me apologize for the delay in the meeting. We had protracted proceedings this afternoon that brought us into the evening time frame. So, thank you for being here. For those of you here for the first time, there's a certain order of protocol that we follow. We start with our Pledge of Allegiance, and then we have a moment of silence, and we move into various agenda items, and then we have presentations in which we recognize individual events or activities that are happening in our city. Tonight we have 4 such presentations, which will be started by, I guess, members of the Commission. So let's begin. If I could ask you all, please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Please join me in a moment of silence especially with regard to 2 people who passed away, Brent Rudemiller, connected with the International Swimming Hall of Fame, and former Mayor Robert Dressler. Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Commissioner Herbst. Vice Mayor Glassman.
Here.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman. Here. Commissioner Sturman.
Here.
Mayor Trentalis.
Here. We have a quorum tonight. A couple of agenda announcements. M4 is being removed as a result of a request by the City Manager's Office. Same with R7. And we do have a walk-on. As it was indicated this afternoon, it's a walk-on regarding authorization for the City Manager to contribute up to $100,000 to a Panthers Hockey Club event. And that's about it. So do I hear a motion to approve the agenda as amended and the minutes?
Okay.
Oh, excuse me, no minutes, just the approval of the agenda as amended.
So M4 and R7?
Yeah, those are both removed from the agenda.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman. Yes. Commissioner Sturman.
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Glassman.
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis.
Yes. And the agenda is now approved as amended. So we have presentations, and the first one is the honor of Vice Mayor Steve Glassman, who will be making a proclamation regarding Gay Pride Month 2024. Vice Mayor.
Yes, thank you. And if the following people that did RSVP could join me at the podium, that'll be great. I would love to call up Robert Keston, who's going to be accepting the proclamation on behalf of everyone. He's the executive director with the Stonewall Museum and National Archives. By the way, if you have not seen their recent exhibit, get there. It's going to go on a 10-year tour around the United States. Please check it out. But it is actually an amazing exhibit all about Stonewall. Also with us this evening, we have Michael Albetta, president of Lake Ridge Association, also with Florida LGBTQ+ Democratic Caucus. We have Robert Boo, executive chief officer with Pride Center. Todd Del May, executive director, SAVE Foundation. Vanessa Ferguson, community engagement, AIDS Healthcare Foundation. Bud Beeler, Flockfest. We have Sabrina Javiano, office of county mayor. Nan Rich. We have Max Fenning with PRISM. We have Joel Slotnick with Christ Church. We have Amy Elowitz. We also have from SunServe, Tony Lima, CEO. We have Mario DePedro and also Alex Spriggs with SunServe. And also with the Florida LGBTQ Democratic Caucus, we have Stephen Gaskell, a media past president, and Christian Browdy, Vice President. Equality Florida, we have Mary Eakins Duran, Political and Special Campaign Manager, and Giancarlo Castellanos. If I missed anyone, and what a good-looking group this is, if I missed anyone, please let me know, and please join me at the podium for the presentation. Thank you.
Please press the button.
Press the button. Thank you. And thank you all for being here and taking time to be with us this evening. This is a beautiful celebration of Pride Month for all of us to show not just our city and our county and our state, but the nation and the world, how very proud we are as a community and what we contribute to the city of Fort Lauderdale. Thank you all for being here this evening. Very, very special. Thank you. I'm going to read now from the Office of the Mayor, City of Fort Lauderdale, this proclamation in recognition of LGBTQ+ Pride Month, June 2024. Whereas all people, regardless of age, gender identity, race, color, religion, marital status, national origin, sexual orientation, or physical challenges, have the right to be treated on the basis of their intrinsic value as human beings. And whereas June marks the annual celebration of LGBTQ+ Pride, a testament to the community's resilience and progress towards equality. And whereas the city of Fort Lauderdale has a long-standing tradition of fostering inclusivity, supporting legal equality and fair treatment for all people, regardless of sexual orientation or gender identity, and ensuring that acts of discrimination and hatred will not be tolerated. And whereas Fort Lauderdale is privileged to be home to 3 of the world's historic LGBTQ+ institutions: the World AIDS Museum, the only museum in existence dedicated to telling the story of the disease; the Stonewall National Museum and Archives, the largest LGBTQ+ circulating library in the United States; and the Sunshine Cathedral, one of America's largest metropolitan community church congregations. And whereas Fort Lauderdale welcomes over 1.5 million LGBTQ+ visitors annually, solidifying its status as a prime international LGBTQ+ destination, while providing worldwide exposure to hundreds of LGBTQ+ businesses in South Florida. And whereas the city of Fort Lauderdale proudly reaffirms its commitment to protecting and respecting the rights of every single resident, business owner, student, and visitor who is a part of the LGBTQ+ community. Now, therefore, we, as city commissioners of the city of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, do hereby proclaim the month of June 2024 as LGBTQ+ Pride Month in the city of Fort Lauderdale, and we encourage all people in our community to join in celebrating equity, diversity, and promoting inclusion and equal protection under the law, and we further encourage people to join us in eliminating discriminatory policies and practices toward any culture, race, or group. Dated this, the 18th day of June, 2024, and signed by our mayor, the Honorable Dean J. Trentalis. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to ask Robert to say a few words and accept on behalf of all of you amazing people. Robert? And then we'll take a photo.
Thank you. There are very few people that I have to raise the mic from, but so I
Never mind. Would someone else like to accept the proclamation on behalf of the group?
I've never had the opportunity to say that before.
That's enough, Robert. Thank you. Let's just...
It is not only Pride Month, but it is also the 55th anniversary of the Stonewall Uprising. And Stonewall was an opportunity where mostly young people of color, came together and decided enough was enough. And they stood up to the police, and they stood up to the city, and they stood up to the mayor, and they took it upon themselves to say no more. One reason it was as powerful as it was is that it came on the heels of the civil rights movement and the women's rights movement and the labor movement and all of those occasions where people stood up for human dignity. And we did it fast, and we did it furiously, and we still do it today. And on June 29th, here in this city, for the very first time anywhere in the world, we will have a reenactment of the Stonewall Uprising and remind people that there's a little bit of Stonewall in all of us today and every day until everybody is truly free and equal. Thank you.
We're going to bring it in here. Erica's going to get our picture. You want to all bring it in a little bit? And Erica's going to get our photo. All of us. Nice group. Good. Let's hold this up a little bit higher.
It's great. I apologize.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your help with housing.
Huh?
Thanks for your help with housing.
Oh my God. Thank you for being here. We'll see you guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Next meeting.
Enjoy the rest of the month. Now I'd like to invite Commissioner Sturman to present a proclamation regarding Stranahan House Museum's 40th anniversary in the city of Fort Lauderdale. Excuse me, the museum's 40th anniversary.
We're on. Is Jennifer and Steve here? And I don't think so. Is John here too or not? I am going to mention him, by the way. How could I do this without? I'm going to make this presentation in a moment, but I mean, I haven't prepared any. Well, we did prepare this, but not. And it's so dear to my heart. And John, let me tell you something. John De La Sera does. I hope everybody knows John. Even though the museum is dear to our heart, he is the actual natural treasure of our community. Would you agree to that one? Undoubtedly. My kids, when they were this big, used to go there on a regular basis. They're now married, have careers of their own. They go back there. He remembers every one of them. This guy is incredible. And it's my honor to read you this proclamation. Whereas the historic Stranahan House, built in 1901 by Fort Lauderdale founding father Frank Stranahan and his wife Ivy, are the area's first teacher, stands as Broward County's oldest surviving structure, a testament to its deep-rooted history as a trading post, post office, town hall, and family home. And whereas in 1981, Stranahan House, Inc. became a nonprofit entity, meticulously restoring the house and opening it as the historic Stranahan House Museum in June 1984. And for 4 decades since, the museum has served as a beacon of preservation, education, and inspiration, connecting residents and visitors to the cultural heritage of our beloved city. And whereas the commitment of dedicated staff, passionate volunteers, and generous supporters has steered the historic Stranahan House Museum to its 40th anniversary on June 17, 2024, a testament to its enduring importance as a cherished historic landmark. And whereas the historic Stranahan House Museum has forged meaningful partnerships with the Seminole Tribe, honoring preserving their legacy through collaborative programs and exhibits. And whereas, in the past year alone, the historic Stranahan House Museum has welcomed over 5,600 visitors, offering an enriching experience of South Florida's pioneer days, now enhanced by immersive audio self-guided tours, allowing for personalized exploration of the site's significance. And whereas, the upcoming capital campaign will further strengthen the historic Stranahan House Museum's capacity to safeguard our shared history, expand educational initiatives, and enhance visitor experiences for generations to come. And whereas the historic Stranahan House Museum remains a cherished institution for historical interpretation, community engagement, and cultural enrichment, fostering a deeper understanding and appreciation of our shared heritage. Now, therefore, we, as the City of Fort Lauderdale Commission, do hereby recognize June 17th, 2024 as Historic Stranahan House Museum's 40th Anniversary Day. Thank you. Would like to have a word or two. And we'll take a photo op in a minute.
Well, thank you so much, Commissioner Sturman, and thank you, everyone. Yes, Stranahan House has been around for 40 years. If you've not been to see us ever or recently, please come on by and see all the new things we have going on at Stranahan House. We invite everybody to come and see what we've got. Do you want to say anything?
I think it would be appropriate to point out that when before the city of Fort Lauderdale existed, the meetings of the citizens were at the Stranahan House. And at the Stranahan House, they decided to incorporate. So you can really say that it started there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, folks from Stranahan House. Now, the presentation number 3 is regarding the Florida Green Building Coalition Awards to Fort Lauderdale, providing Fort Lauderdale with the gold designation for green local government. I'd like to invite C.J. Davila, the Executive Director of the Florida Green Building Coalition, to join me at the podium.
Gotcha. All right. Good evening. My name is TJ Davila. I'm the Executive Director of the Florida Green Building Coalition. The Florida Green Building Coalition was formed in 2000 and is the leading certifying agency for green building within the state of Florida, having surpassed 35,000 projects. To date, 88 local governments have participated in the Green Local Government Program. The program is unique within the country. It creates an environment of communication, coordination amongst the different departments. This collaboration streamlines processes, decreases redundancies, and generates new approaches towards sustainable and resource preservation. Its success emanates from the fact that there is a sizable and compelling return on investment for any municipality, thus reducing the cost to taxpayers. The gold designation demonstrates exemplary leadership by the mayor, commissioners, and city manager's office, providing the framework and setting the tone for green practices. I also wanted to recognize Glenn Hadwin and Luz Ramirez and all of the staff that worked on this tremendous accomplishment. The green certification program scores the city in terms of categories. And some of the highlights from the city of Fort Lauderdale: create and maintain a green team across departmental staff, maintain a green fleet, implement green landscaping irrigation practices, provide recycling collection services to multifamily dwellings, and they achieved the LEED for cities designation. The city of Fort Lauderdale achieved 55% of the 400 points, earning them the gold level. Version 5 of the standard was recently launched and is designed to challenge local governments to do more than the previous versions. The city of Fort Lauderdale is the second city to certify under version 5 and the highest scoring so far. On behalf of our members, our board of directors, and the citizens of the state of Florida, we'd like to recognize the city of Fort Lauderdale and all of their efforts to create a sustainable, resilient, and environmentally responsible community. Thank you.
Place it.
This one?
Our last in our final presentation is the 2024 Sterling Leadership Conference Greatest Organizational Impact Award that's being awarded to the Development Services Department. And I would like to invite our Acting City Manager, Susan Grant, and the DSD Director, Chris Cooper, to please join me. Who's providing this award?
Thank you, Mayor. While Al Battle and Chris Cooper and the DSD team come up, I'd like to just say a little bit about the Florida Sterling Award. It is the state's premier award for quality organizations based on the Malcolm Baldrige Award, and every year they sponsor a team showcase competition. And our development services team participated for the first time this year, and were recognized, and we couldn't be prouder of all of you and the things you've done for your department and for your customers. So I'm going to let Chris or Al speak a little bit about that.
Yes. Thank you, Susan. So I echo what Susan said. I'm extremely proud of this group. They worked very, very hard on this presentation, and not only bringing back an award to the city that is well-deserved, but also creating a great improvement in our service level and a process within our department. This group really took a deep dive into the process of our voided permits and reasons and ways that we can improve that level of service. It resulted in not only a process improvement, but also a tremendous improvement in the service level that we provide to our customers every day. We reduced our voided permits by half of what we did previously based on their process improvement, and we estimate a cost savings of $100,000 to the department every year based on that process improvement. So, great job with the award, wonderful job with the process improvement. Yeah, this group is one of many we have in our department. We started a process improvement academy a couple of years ago, and the point of that is to train folks within our department and really instill that mindset of continuous improvement. And in addition to this group, we have about 30 other people so far have completed that academy. So they are a great example of what we can do at DSD and the type of improvement we can get by investing in our employees with the city of Fort Lauderdale. So again, congratulations, and we're very, very proud of your success.
Do you have like a dress code in your department? Look, everyone's so beautifully dressed here. No, go ahead. Yeah, I'm good.
All right, right here. 1, 2, and 3. Thank you so much.
Mr. Mayor, could you give me a moment so I could properly prepare for this meeting?
You know, copying is the best form of flattery, I guess. Is that your size? It looks kind of small. I know. Okay, so at this point, I'd like to ask if any member of the commission wants to pull any items from the consent agenda, part of the consent agenda. Commissioners, hold on a second. Commissioner Herbst, do you have any items from the consent agenda you would like pulled?
I do not.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
None.
Vice Mayor?
None.
And Commissioner Panther Sturman?
None.
Okay. Only one person has signed up to speak on the consent agenda items, and that's only for questions answered. So since no one has pulled an item and no one is looking to speak, do I hear a motion to approve all the consent agenda items except the ones that were, which one was pulled? Hold on.
We didn't have any on consent that was
No, there
pulled.
wasn't on consent.
Okay, hold on. Okay, those were pulled from later in the agenda.
Yes.
Okay. Very good. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
Yes.
Commissioner Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst? Yes. Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes. And those consent agenda items are now approved. If you're here on those items, your matter has now been approved by the commission. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting if you'd like. As a courtesy to our former mayor, Jack Seiler, he has asked if we could pull an item out that he is here for because he has another obligation later this evening. So I'm going to pull PH4, public hearing approving the issuance of a certificate of public convenience and necessity for Funky Fish Shuttle and Tours, LLC, to operate 7 low-speed vehicles within the city of Fort Lauderdale. Let's see if someone signed up to speak. Hold on. Mr. Seiler is the only one that signed up to speak. So other than that, does anyone wish to speak on this item? There being none, do I hear a motion to close public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
This is just to close public hearing.
Yes. Commissioner Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst? Yes. Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and public hearing is now closed on PH4. Do I hear a motion to approve the issuance of the certificate?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Mayor, may I ask a question? I have some questions about all of them because it's PH1 through PH5. Would you like me just to wait till we get back to PH1 later?
Why don't we do that?
Okay.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman? Yes. Commissioner Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and PH4 is now approved. You're very welcome.
Enjoy that other commitment, Mayor.
Go Cats.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Okay, moving back to M1. Motion approving an event agreement and related road closures. Wait a minute. Yeah, and related road closures for the 13th annual Fort Lauderdale Turkey Trot. No one signed up to speak. Someone like to move the item? Someone like to move the item?
Moved.
Been moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman? Yes. Commissioner Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and M1 is now approved. M2, motion approving change order number 5 for Riverwalk Center Parking Garage and General Site Improvements, Allen Construction, Inc. No one has signed up to speak. Anyone wish, please move the item. Someone like to move the item?
Moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman? Yes. Commissioner Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and M2 is now approved. Motion approving a design-build agreement for Sunset Memorial Gardens Mausoleum. One person has signed up to speak. Is that just to answer questions, Pat, or? Yeah, okay.
Introduce.
Motion's been made. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
Yes.
Commissioner Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, M3 is now approved. Why are we getting feedback? Okay. M4, motion approving agreement for the purchase of waterway, that's been pulled, right?
Why was that pulled?
Hold on.
Yeah, that was pulled. That was pulled.
Yeah.
I was wondering why that was
City
pulled.
staff pulled that. I guess it needs further review. Moving on to M5, motion approving an agreement for the annual asphalt mill and resurfacing, M&M asphalt maintenance, DBA All County Paving. That's M5. Hold on a second. No one signed up to speak. Someone like to move the item?
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
Yes.
Commissioner Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
And Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and M5 is now approved. Commissioner Sturman, back to your question. You know, quite a few people did sign up to speak, but I think most of them were alerted at the beginning of the meeting that we were going to pull it, so I don't see them in the audience anymore either. So I hope it didn't create an inconvenience for folks. R1 resolution is an appointment of board members, board and committee members. Madam Clerk, you want to read the names into the record?
For tonight's resolution, we received the following nominations for the Central City Redevelopment Advisory Board. Thomas Mabey, nominated by Commissioner Herbst. Kimber White, nominated by Vice Mayor Glassman. Since publishing the agenda, we received an additional nomination and asking if it can be added to the resolution as amended for the City Manager Search Committee. Roosevelt Walters, nominated by Commissioner Beasley Pittman.
Does that conclude the names? Is there anyone further? Any modifications or additions?
No.
There being none, would someone like to introduce the resolution?
Introduced.
Please call the roll.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, appointing or nominating, if applicable, board and committee members as set forth in the exhibit attached hereto and made a part hereof. Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
Yes.
Commissioner Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and those committee members and board members are now approved. Thank you for your commitment to our city and the sacrifice you give to us with your time. R2, resolution authorizing the issuance of water and sewer revenue bonds, Series 2024A, and water and sewer revenue refunding bonds, 2024B, not to exceed $150 million. I believe this is to refinance these bonds. Is that correct, Linda? Where are you? Just so that people know why we're spending $150 million tonight.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Honorable Commission. Yes, this bond is to do two things. One is to provide funding for the advanced metering infrastructure project that we're moving ahead with, and that's for about $51 million. The additional money will be used to refund the 2014 bonds that are there. It's going to be saving the city approximately 3.26%, which is about $4.2 million overall for the bonds.
Great.
That's for the remaining of the 2014 bonds, which is going to equate to about $380,000 a year until the bonds expire.
Okay, any other questions? There being none, would someone like to introduce the resolution?
Introduced.
Please call the roll.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, authorizing the issuance and sale of water and sewer revenue bonds, Series 2024A, and water and sewer revenue funding bonds, the Series 2024B, in the aggregate principal amount of not exceeding $150 million for the purpose of, together with other available monies, paying a portion of the cost of improvements to the city's water and sewer system, including without limitation reimbursement to the city for costs of such improvements advanced by the city from its internal funds, refunding on a current basis all of a portion of certain outstanding water and sewer revenue refunding bonds of the city, and paying the cost of issuance of the Series 2024 bonds, determining the form and denominations of said Series 2024 bonds, and providing for the determination of the principal amounts, dates, rates of interest, maturity rates, and redemption provisions of said Series 2024 bonds, and the determination of the bonds to be refunded by the city manager within the parameters set forth herein, authorizing the public sale of by competitive bid of such Series 2024 bonds, authorizing the execution and directing the authentication and delivery of said Series 2024 bonds, approving uncertified book entry only registration of said Series 2024 bonds with the Depository Trust Company, approving the forms of official notice of bond sale, authorizing the city manager to award the Series 2024 bonds within the parameters set forth herein, authorizing the use of the preliminary official statement and the execution and delivery of an official statement with the respect to said Series 2024 bonds, providing for the application of the proceeds of said Series 2024 bonds, appointing an escrow agent, a paying agent, and bond registrar, and a verification agent, approving the form and authorizing the execution and delivery of an escrow deposit agreement and a paying agent and bond registrar agreement, covenanting to provide continuing disclosure in connection with such Series 2024 bonds in accordance with Rule 15C212, and authorizing the execution and delivery of a continuing disclosure commitment with respect thereto, authorizing other required actions, and providing an effective date. Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
Yes.
Commissioner Sturman?
You know, I love David, but you definitely have a bounce in your voice. Yes.
Commissioner Herbst? Yes. Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and R2 is now approved. R3, resolution accepting a bid of Urban Street Development LLC and Helmholtz Holdings for the leasing, development, and improvement of city-owned property located at 330 Southwest 2nd Street in Fort Lauderdale, commonly known as New River Trading Post, and authorizing negotiation and preparation of a lease pursuant to Section 8.09 of the Charter of the City of Fort Lauderdale. I have one person who signed up to speak. Excuse me, I have several people who signed up to speak, but I think they're just for questions. That's Stephanie Toothaker, Patricia Zeiler, and Ken Krasno. Did you want to? If anyone has any questions, anyone have any questions?
Mayor, I would like to hear some information from Ms. Toothaker. I've let her know that we did have conversation about this at my district pre-agenda meeting last evening. This is in District 2. So if she could maybe just clear up some of the questions and make people feel comfortable, that would greatly be appreciated.
Go right ahead.
Thank you.
I have a very short presentation. I know we all want to watch the game tonight. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, thank you for allowing me to be here. Stephanie Toothaker on behalf of Urban Street Development and Helmholtz Holdings, who responded to the city's RFP. And of course with me is Tim Petrillo, who you all know, who is the developer. So this property was put out to RFP in 2003. It's a piece of property that used to have a post office on it. It was put out to RFP in 2003. Tim and Alan and Mr. Halmos responded to that RFP, and they have had a lease on that property for 20 years. The property that's there, a little bit of confusion, is not designated historic. It's a new building. It was built by Tim and Alan and Steve. So this is the property highlighted in red. It's often referred to as the New River Trading Post. It is not in the historic district, and it's not designated historic. And as I said, it is a piece of property that is a new development. I know you're all familiar with it. We've been talking a lot. With the History Fort Lauderdale and with the Riverwalk about the and the city of Fort Lauderdale has held some charrettes about the revitalization of Himmershey Street, and we're very excited to have responded to this RFP because we feel that this will be a catalyst and an opportunity to really start putting that vision into place and what can be done here with the revitalization of Himmershey. So the property is zoned RAC Arts and Sciences and is designated near downtown by the master plan. You all know Urban Street Development and Helmholtz Holdings. The proposal supports some of the themes that were identified in the Himmershey Revitalization Plan, and it will complement the Broward Center, Esplanade Park, the museum, and the Riverwalk. And in fact, as part of the RFP response, the proposers committed to putting up to $1 million into the revitalization of Esplanade Park, which is also a park that could use some love. The idea here is to reimagine, revitalize the property, and provide the city and the citizens a financial benefit that goes with that. The RFP is consistent with the city's charter. We have met with both the Riverwalk and History Fort Lauderdale. I saw Patricia Zeiler is here, and I spoke to Gina earlier today. The Riverwalk said that she'd be very pleased to share that they're in support of this proposal, and since Patricia's here, I will let her speak for herself. But we had very good meetings. As I said, there's an existing lease on the property. That lease does not end until 2058. The proposed deal structure, the new lease starts when the existing lease ends, and as part of that, there will be a huge financial benefit to the city of Fort Lauderdale, and the total in rent, including ad valorem taxes and rent for the 50-year term is, just the rent is $107 million for the new lease.
So when does the lease term end?
The existing lease ends in 2058. The
Right.
new lease would begin in 2058.
Right, so the total lease term is up to 2058? It's
The
not 20
existing lease that's on the property today ends in 2058. The RFP that went out was to start a new lease when the existing lease ends, so
Okay.
2059.
So it's 2108?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct. So it's 50 years plus 5 years for construction when it begins at the termination of the existing lease that's on the property. And as part of that proposal, it includes significant increases in rent and ad valorem taxes. So the total revenue, including both of those, is approximately $211 million. If the commission approves this evening, we would negotiate that new lease that would begin after the termination of the existing lease with the city attorney's office.
Wouldn't the taxes depend upon not just the raw land, but also what development
Correct.
goes on there?
Yes,
so
of course.
it would be far in excess of,
Far in excess.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
But I think where the confusion was, and thank you, Vice Mayor, because there were some questions. What's before you this evening is a response to an RFP. It does not include a development. You are not approving a development. You're not considering a development. Any development would have to go through the city's regular development process, which includes community outreach, goes through a DRC process. So this what's before you this evening does not contemplate that at all.
Okay. Thank you. Does that complete your
That
presentation?
does. Thank
Okay.
you. And we're here to answer
Mr.
any
Vice Mayor, do you have
questions.
any questions?
No, I would just suggest that as we go down the road with the site plan approval process, that we definitely engage the Sailboat Bend Civic Association neighborhood.
Yes.
They are close neighbors. They want to know what's happening, and they just want to understand. That was mostly the organization that I heard from that had the questions. They couldn't quite understand why they didn't see the plan, and I had to explain to them, no, this is not a site plan approval. That's coming later. This is just to set that lease in those terms. So I appreciate it if you're able to do that going forward and just really make sure that they're at the table and that we listen to their voice.
And the other civic associations as well, as we always do. We definitely will.
No, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else have any other questions?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. So I had raised with the developers a question that came up in my conversations as well. So one of the issues that we have is that the current lease has a rental rate that is substantially below what the future lease is going to be. So I asked them if they would be open to considering increasing that at the time that they achieve the TCO for whatever new project is that they build, and they said that they would be open to considering that, so.
That is correct. We are open to that.
Right.
Well,
So-
that's pretty loosey-goosey, though. What is open to considering? That's like saying we'll talk later about it.
Okay, so the idea is, the challenge we have is this comes at the end of 50 years, okay? So if we push that up forward, we will move the rent, the fair market rent forward as well.
Right. Okay, all right.
I'm sorry, what year was that? I'm sorry. Can you get a little closer, Tim?
Once we go through the normal planning and zoning and outreach like that, and we get a approved plan, and we start and commence construction and get a CO, then market rent would kick in. If that's in 4 years, 10 years, 15 years, or 50 years, that is when the fair market rent would.
If it's 40 or 50, will you let me know how that goes?
Well, actually, I'm not sure I'll know how
I
that
just
goes
really
at that time.
appreciate it.
Well, is there?
Thank you.
Are we including in this lease a requirement to build something within a certain period of time? I mean, let's say you decide not to build it until 40 years from now. Not that you'll be around to do it, but somebody would. Do we want to leave that land vacant like that?
Well, it's not a requirement, but we did include it as part of our proposal, our response. So there's a timeline that's included in that, and that was, I'm sure, part of the considerations in choosing this developer. I think the idea here is that him or she is definitely ripe for a reimagination and a redevelopment. And obviously, the plan is to do something sooner rather than later, but we can work that out in the lease when we work with the city attorney's office.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions?
No, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate that consideration. It really means a lot. So.
Yeah.
Patricia, do you want to add it to that? You're good? Okay.
Yeah.
She's good.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Did you want to say something?
Yeah, okay, so just to recap, there's a current lease, and you're in you have 34 34 or 36 years more on that lease. 34 more years, right?
58 to 50.
So you're near 16 of a 50-year lease, right? Tom, the maximum they could have done is 50 years on that land because the city owns it,
Under
and
the
the
charter,
original
correct.
one, right?
Under the charter, correct.
By charter. They spoke about redoing this, extending this to 50, and there was a reason they couldn't.
They are not extending it. It would be.
No, but was that an option to extend it to 50? Or is that, the charter would not allow that?
They have bid on, excuse me, they've bid on a new lease. It will have 50 years. It's not an
Okay.
extension of the current lease.
So the extension was never even discussed? Okay.
It was.
Yes, it was.
It was.
Oh, it
we
was
did.
discussed.
We did. We had been frankly, we had been working on this for a few years.
Yeah.
And we had originally started discussions to see if a lease extension could be done, and it was advised that it could not be done and that it needed to go out as a public bid.
Okay, why is that, Tom? In other words, we have a 50-year limit.
It's a
And why
50-year
could we
limit.
not have just done another 50-year lease starting right now or extended? Why did we
Because
just...
you have to have an end to the first lease and a beginning of a new one.
And why did we not do it that way? Because, I mean, obviously the charter...
That's what they're doing. The other lease will expire.
No, but this is not going to end until... It's not ending today. This is tacked on to the end of that one.
It's not tacked on. It's 50 years, at the end of 50 years for the current lease, which is 34 years from now. The next day, this new lease will start, it will be negotiated by my office.
So for a total of 84 years?
Or for another 50 years.
Over a total of... Okay.
Is that it? Okay, great. All right, thank you so much.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Would someone like to introduce the resolution for R3?
Introduced.
Please call the roll.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, accepting bid of Urban Street Development LLC and Halmos Holdings, Inc. for the leasing, development, and improvements of city-owned property located at 330 Southwest 2nd Street, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 33301, commonly known as New River Trading Post, authorizing negotiation and presentation of a lease pursuant to Section 8.09 of the City Charter, providing for effective date. Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
Yes.
Commissioner Sturman?
No.
Commissioner Herbst?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and R3 is approved. Thank you. R4, resolution authorizing the city manager to execute mutual data security and public records compliance agreement with Trimble, Inc. Anyone have any questions with regard to that? No one has signed up to speak. Someone like to introduce the resolution?
Introduce.
Resolution's been introduced. Please call the roll.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, approving the mutual data security and public records compliance agreement between the City of Fort Lauderdale and Trimble, Inc., authorizing the city manager to execute the mutual data security and public records compliance agreement and providing for severability, rescission of conflicting resolution provisions and an effective date. Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
Yes.
Commissioner Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst? Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and that item is now approved. R5, resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a locally funded agreement with the Florida Department of Transportation for the design phase of 3 bridges along West Lake Drive in Harbor Beach and 1 bridge along Southeast 7th Street in Rio Vista. No one has signed up to speak. If anyone has any questions, otherwise, would someone like to introduce the
I'd like to
resolution?
introduce it if I can.
Is that, did you say you're introducing it?
Yes, me.
Okay. So the resolution has now been introduced. If you
Thank
could
you.
please call the roll.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, authorizing the city manager to execute a locally funded agreement with the Florida Department of Transportation under Project FM numbers 450866 13201, Westlake Drive at Lucille River, Bridge number 865773, 45086713201, Westlake Drive at Mercedes River, Bridge number 865774, 4580868, Westlake Drive at Estelle River, Bridge number 865771, and 45087013201, Southeast 7th Street at Rio Cordova, Bridge number 865760, in the amount of $3,089,500 $491 with a 25% City of Fort Lauderdale match in the amount of $1,235,796 for the design phase of the bridge replacements and providing for an effective date. Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
Yes.
Commissioner Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst? Yes. Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and
Okay.
R5 is now approved.
Okay, I want to thank my colleagues on that very vital piece of infrastructure in my neighborhood. Thank you very much, every one of you.
R6, resolution ratifying the application for and authorizing the acceptance of in-kind grant funds and execution of the Florida Local Government Cybersecurity Grant Program from Florida Digital Services, State of Florida Department of Management Services. No one has signed up to speak. Anyone have any questions? If not, would someone like to introduce the resolution for R6?
Introduced.
It's been introduced. Please call the roll.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, delegating to the city manager the authority to accept grant funds and execute the grant agreement for local government cybersecurity grant program with the State of Florida Department of Management Services and any and all documents necessary or incidental to the application for the grant agreement, grant acceptance, receipt, and disbursement of grant funds pursuant thereto, and ratifying the execution of any such document. Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
Yes.
Commissioner Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and that R6 is now approved. R7 has been removed from the agenda. Moving on to PH1. This is a public hearing approving the issuance of a certificate of public convenience and necessity for Your Golf Cart Concierge to operate one low-speed vehicle within the city of Fort Lauderdale. We have one person who signed up to speak. Mr. Brown, are you still here?
Yes.
Oh, you are. Did you want to speak?
You think I know how to do this as often as I come up here. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the Commission. Bill Brown, President, Central Beach Alliance. I come before you. I'm going to be very quick because I know we all want to go to watch the game. We're going to speak basically on all the way PH1 through 5. And before you have all those is a total number of 15 golf carts. The concerns of residents is there's not an ordinance, but the city came up with a way to license and regulate these through issuing license. The question is, there's not an ordinance other than the licensing of carts like this, but what is the total number that's going to be allowed per an entire district or a beach area or along Las Olas? One of the things the residents have seen is a large increase over the number of years, and more are going to start coming now that the city's starting to enforce a way to license. So our question is, we're here to support them. We understand how business works and the economic impact it has on our community, but before we get to a problem of having 200 trying to come and apply, what's going to be a good number, and we're trying to be proactive versus reactive. And the other issue is you have a lot of good operators here tonight that's trying to be proactive, and we want to make sure that the city addresses drop-off and pickups. They should not be on A1A and Seabreeze in our area because they impact the flow of traffic. They've all agreed to accommodate that, but it's something that has to be enforced and regulated and understood. So those are our concerns, but we're not opposed to licensing these.
I think your concerns are valid. I don't know if we can really address all those tonight. Is there somebody here from the company that wants to, well, first of all, is Ben Rogers here?
Well, it's Milos. Milos is.
Oh, Milos is here. Okay, very good. So how many do we have operating? And
so right now we have only 5 businesses that have vehicles for higher license or permit to operate.
Well, 5
outside.
businesses, but how many actual carts?
I would have to get back to you with that number.
Yeah. All right. I don't know the answer for you then.
So, Milos,
We raise it.
yeah.
Oh, Ben is here. Okay.
It's also, and I think we could probably go through this PH1 through PH5. We could add up how many because it varies. But as Bill just said, as part of the discussion last night at my pre-agenda meeting, we're just trying to find out, what's the relationship to these carts and to circuit that we're trying to promote. What's the deal with who gets permits, who doesn't get permits. One of these carts goes around town with very offensive flags, bad language. Do we have any say in any of this? At night, do they have good lighting on these vehicles? Where do they park? I'm being told, especially from folks on the beach, that they just park up and down and they block bike lanes. There's really no enforcement. Like right by the Las Olas Bridge, for example, they block all those bicycle paths there. So what's our plan? Are we just going to take these as they come, or are we going to think of this holistically and figure out, how we are going to regulate these and making sure that this is not a hindrance to us as opposed to helping alleviate the number of vehicles on the road? I'm just wondering what our plan is here with these vehicles.
Mr. Vice Mayor, we absolutely understand your concerns, and we'll be working together with the City Attorney's Office and our police department to ensure that we have more of those who operate that are to properly get licensed with the city. Number one, we'll talk to Attorney's Office to determine if there is a good number and whether we have to limit number of these permits, and also work with everyone who has a permit to make sure that they operate pursuant to the permit that they have, meaning that they operate in a safe manner and that they do not obstruct either travel lanes or bike lanes.
And in addition, are they permitted to operate 24/7?
There are no limitations that I'm aware of in terms of how many hours they operate per day or which days.
Okay, I just want us to be a little bit proactive when it comes to these vehicles, because I see now we just have 5 agenda items here with all these companies, and I can see already that it's going to increase, and I know, and I just would rather us be proactive than reactive to this. I'm just throwing this out there.
Yeah, Vice Mayor, one thing just for your awareness is that we're operating within the current language of our policies and procedures, right? And so one thing that we've worked with the City Attorney's Office, and we're continuing to work with them on now, is revitalizing, amending, and bringing forth a new ordinance to the Commission, because times have changed since it was written. We do have circuit in. We do have a lot of other conflicting needs and priorities of the roadways. So we are going through a review of the language, and we'll be bringing forth sometime probably this fall amendments to our current process.
That's going to be very important. Are they also all limited to 25 miles per hour?
I believe Florida statute, I'd have to turn to the City Attorney's Office, but I believe Florida statute does have a limitation on the speed for the low-speed vehicles.
Okay, good. And I'll look forward to that, report, because I think it's really important that we get ahead of it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's what we were asking for, and I want to commend all of you because this is how good government should work all the time.
Okay,
Thank you.
good. Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak on this item? There being none, did you want to speak?
Did they sign?
Did you sign up?
Well, now, given all the questions we're going to be asked about this, so
Is this your company?
one of them is Easy Rides.
All right, when we get to that one, okay? All right. So, would someone like to move to close public hearing?
Second.
Moved and seconded, please call the roll.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
Yes.
Commissioner Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and public hearing is now closed on PH1. Would someone like to adjust the microphones? Someone like to move PH1? Do I hear a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
Yes.
Commissioner Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst? Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and PH1 is now approved. PH2, public hearing approving the issuance of a certificate of public convenience and necessity for RideStat LLC to operate one non-emergency medical transport van within the city of Fort Lauderdale. No one is, oh wait, we have one person signed to speak, Mr. Enriquez, but only for answering questions. Anyone else have any questions or wish to speak on this item? If none, would some move to close public hearing?
Move.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
Yes.
Commissioner Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and public hearing is now closed on PH2. Would someone like to move the item? Been moved or
Second.
seconded? Okay, please call the roll.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
Yes.
Commissioner Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis.
Yes, and PH2 is now approved. PH3, easy rides. Okay. Public hearing approving the issuance of a certificate of public convenience and necessity for Easy Rides Transport LLC to operate 3 low-speed vehicles within the city of Fort Lauderdale. Mr. Weha, the floor is yours. Please push the, okay,
Yeah.
there. You're good. No, push it back. Okay. Are you here to answer questions?
Yeah.
Or do you have
after-
comments you'd like to make?
Just a couple of comments. I mean, very good points by Vice Mayor and the other gentleman that said that I think there should be a moratorium on how many golf carts that should be on the road. We are totally street legal, and since we've invested a lot of money and doing things right for the public, and now we're seeing a lot of people just renting golf carts and with no proper license plate, with no proper anything, and they're giving rides to everybody else. And that's not fair for us. So I'm glad the city is doing this, and hopefully we get everybody's on the right place, but we gotta have a moratorium on how many golf carts there's gonna be out there. Otherwise, there's gonna be hundreds of them, and nobody's gonna make, because it's also a business. Nobody's gonna make money, it's just gonna be crazy.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for.
And I think we've instructed city staff to try to come up with some new rules and regulations. Soon we'll be a city where only people are driving golf carts. Okay, PH3, public hearing. Someone like to move to close public hearing? Been moved, do I hear a second? Moved and seconded, please call the roll.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
Yes.
Commissioner Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst? Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis.
Yes, and so public hearing is now closed on PH3. Would someone like to move the item? We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, please call the roll.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
Yes.
Commissioner Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst? Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis.
Yes, and PH3 is now approved. Congratulations, gentlemen. PH4, we've already voted on. PH5, public hearing approving the issuance of a certificate of public convenience and necessity for CTMT Enterprises, LLC, to operate 3 low-speed vehicles within the city of Fort Lauderdale. We have no one who's, we have one person who signed up to speak, Carlo Barrios. Is that just for questions? Yes. Okay. You all know each other? Okay, all right. Wait a minute.
button.
Push the button at
Press
the
here.
bottom where it says press here. Are you Vito? Okay.
Good guess.
Okay.
Okay, so what's happening now is there's a lot of golf carts out there. There are some people that are borrowing people's carts who just happen to own golf carts. They don't have for-hire insurance, which all of us here do, and the city is requiring through Morgan Dunn, the Transportation Department. Now, somebody had mentioned questions about people stopping in the bike lanes. We have a license plate. We have drivers with driver's license. They're subjected to all Department of Motor Vehicle and Highway Safety laws. So if they stop in a bike lane, they should be written up. It's all about safety. There are places we can go. Right now, the law states that we can go on any low-speed vehicles, any road that's listed 35 miles per hour or less. So we can't go on Federal Highway. We can't go on any road that says 40 miles per hour, none of that. And we have to obey to every single traffic law, just like any motor vehicle if I had my Cadillac out there. So what we're looking for is to get licensed, have the proper protocol of what needs to be done, which we already did through Morgan Dunn's Transportation Department, And hopefully we can get together with the city, and we're on your side. Any regulations you come up with, you bring it forward to us, and we will obey them. If there's anything new, if there's any recommendations we have, we can help you with that.
Okay.
But we're also in access to the city because we do keep a lot of people from drinking and driving.
Okay, good to know.
And that's a very good point. And the fact is, they will drive without us.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, thank you for bringing that to our attention. We
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you, Vito. And let us learn from lessons of the past. In the past, we never regulated vacation rentals, and the state legislature got ahead of us and now prevented us from regulating vacation rentals. So maybe we should, it behooves us to start coming up with regulations with regard to the golf cart industry. Otherwise, the state may take that option away from us. Anyway, moving forward. Do I hear a motion to close public hearing on PH 5? It's been moved. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman? Yes. Commissioner Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst? Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, public hearing is closed on PH 5. Someone like to move the item?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman? Yes. Commissioner Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst? Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and PH 5 is now approved. Thank you, gentlemen. PH 6, this is a public hearing, a quasi-judicial resolution approving a waiver of limitations at 1180 North Federal Highway, Unit 1502, Slip 7, for the installation of one boat lift. Anyone wishing to speak must be sworn in, and the commission will announce any site visits, communications, or expert opinions received and make them a part of the record. Commissioner Herbst, do you have any disclosures? No. Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
None.
I have none. Vice Mayor?
None.
And
Commissioner Sturman?
Commissioner Sturman?
None.
Okay. One person to sign up to speak, but for questions only. So do I hear a motion to close public hearing?
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
Yes.
Commissioner Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst? Yes. Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and public hearing is now closed on PH 6. Do I hear, would someone like to introduce the resolution?
Introduced.
It's been introduced. Please call the roll.
Is that for approval?
This is for approval, yes.
Introduced for approval.
Yeah.
A resolution of the City of Fort Lauderdale, of the City Commission of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, pursuant to Section 4719.3E of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida Unified Land Development Regulations, granting a waiver of the limitations of ULDR Section 47-19.3C to permit Renee Byron installation of a four-post boat lift extending 32.8 plus or minus from the property line into the adjacent waters of Middle River, such property being located at Riva Condominium, 1180 North Federal Highway, Unit Number 1502, Slip Number 7, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and more particularly described below, subject to certain terms and conditions, repealing any and all parts of resolutions in conflict herewith, and providing for an effective date. Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
Yes.
Commissioner Sturman? Yes. Commissioner Herbst? Yes. Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and the item is now approved. PH 7, public hearing, quasi-judicial ordinance vacating a 16-foot wide by 98-foot long portion of alley north of Southeast 30th Street, west of South Federal Highway, south of Southeast 29th Street, and east of Southeast 4th Avenue, Local Equity 3 LLC Public Storage Warehouse. Anyone wishing to speak must be sworn in, and the commission will announce any site visits, communications, or expert opinions received and make them a part of the record. Do you have any disclosures, Commissioner Herbst?
Yes, I've had email from Jason Crush.
Okay. Commissioner Beasley Pittman? Any disclosures? Did you meet with Jason Crush at all?
I did not. I have none.
Okay.
Didn't meet with Jason.
I met with Mr. Crush. Vice Mayor?
Yes, I had an email from Jason Crush.
And Commissioner Sturman.
Jason Crush.
Okay. So we have one person who signed up to speak, which is Mr. Crush himself, but only for questions. So if there's no one else wishes to speak, does someone like to move to close public hearing?
Before we close, I want to make sure. Jason, did we speak about this? No. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
It's always good to check. It's always.
I'd be upset too if I were you.
It's not in your district? I don't know.
No worries. I just wanted to make sure. I want to be clear on the record. Thank you.
That's very smart. Okay, someone like to move to close public hearing?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
Yes.
Commissioner Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and public hearing is now closed on PH 7. Someone like to introduce the ordinance?
Introduce.
Please call the roll.
An ordinance vacating that certain 16-foot alley right-of-way lying between lots 1 and 2, Block D13, Dixie Cutoff, Section Crescent Park, according to the plat thereof as recorded in Plat Book 6, page 5 of the Public Records of Broward County, Florida, located west of Southeast 6th Avenue, north of Southeast 30th Street, east of Southeast 4th Avenue, and south of Southeast 29th Street, all said land situate lying and being in the city of Fort Lauderdale, Broward County, Florida. Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
Yes.
Commissioner Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and that item is now approved. PH 8, public hearing, quasi-judicial ordinance vacating a 22.5-foot wide by 850-foot long portion of right-of-way north of West Prospect Road, west of Northwest 31st Avenue, east of State Road 7, and south of Northwest 62nd Street, City of Fort Lauderdale Prospect Lake Clean Water Center. Anyone wishing to speak must be sworn in, and the commission will announce any site visits, communications, or expert opinions received and make them a part of the record. Commissioner Herbst, do you have any disclosures? No. Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
None.
Nor do I. Vice
None.
Mayor? And Commissioner Sturman?
None.
Okay. We have one person who signed up to speak, but that I assume is just for questions, right? Yes. So, nice to see you, John. So, would someone move to close public hearing? Do I hear a second? Second. Been moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
Yes.
Commissioner Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and public hearing is now closed on PH 8. Would someone like to introduce the ordinance? Please call the roll.
An ordinance vacating a portion of the 22.5-foot parcel deeded in official record book 6411, page 294 of the Public Records of Broward County, Florida, and dedicated as a public right-of-way by Broward County, Florida, being the west 22.5 feet of the north half of the southeast quarter of Section 7, Township 49 South, Range 42 East, and lying east of a 25-foot right-of-way lying east of Tract 8, Block 96, Palm Beach Farms, according to the plat thereof as recorded in Plat Book 2, pages 45 to 54 of the Public Records of Palm Beach County, Florida, located west of Northwest 31st Avenue, north of Prospect Road, east of State Road 7, and south of West Cypress Creek Road, northwest 62nd Street. All said land situate lying and being in the city of Fort Lauderdale, Broward County, Florida. Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
Yes.
Commissioner Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst? Yes. Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and that item is now approved. Moving on to PH 10, PH 9. Public hearing, quasi-judicial ordinance vacating a 22.5-foot wide by 3,410-foot long portion of right-of-way north of West Prospect Road, west of Northwest 31st Avenue, east of State Road 7, and south of Northwest 62nd Street, City of Fort Lauderdale Prospect Lake Clean Water Center. Anyone wishing to speak must be sworn in, and the commission will announce any site visits, communications, or expert opinions received and make them a part of the record. Anyone have any disclosures? Commissioner Herbst. Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
None.
Is that considered a site visit? Yeah. I have none. Vice Mayor?
None.
And Commissioner Sturman?
None.
Okay. There being none, and only John has signed up to speak, so it's just for questions. Would you, someone please move to close public hearing?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
Yes.
Commissioner Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and public hearing is now closed on PH 9. Would someone like to introduce the ordinance? The ordinance has been introduced. Please call the roll.
An ordinance vacating the use of a portion of the 22.5-foot parcel of land as a public highway right-of-way and for other purpose incidental thereto deeded and dedicated in Official Records Book 1743, page 577 of the Public Records of Broward County, Florida, being the east 22.5 feet of tracts 8 and 9, Block 96, Palm Beach Farms, according to the plat thereof, as recorded in Plat Book 2, page 45 to 54, of the Public Records of Palm Beach County, Florida, located west of Northwest 31st Avenue, north of Prospect Road, east of State Road 7, and south of West Cypress Creek Road, all said land situate lying in between and being in the city of Fort Lauderdale, Broward County, Florida. Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
Yes.
Commissioner Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst? Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and PH 9 is now approved. Congratulations. PH 10, public hearing, quasi-judicial ordinance approving a public purpose use and structure. This is 515 Northwest 15th Avenue, City of Fort Lauderdale, the Dorsey Riverbend Stormwater Pump Station. Anyone wishing to speak must be sworn in. The commission will announce any site visits, communications, or expert opinions received and make them a part of the record. Commissioner Herbst, do you have any disclosures? Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
No new disclosures.
I have none either. Vice Mayor?
None.
And Commissioner Sturman?
None.
Okay, no one has signed up to speak. Will someone to move to close public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
Yes.
Commissioner Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst? Yes. Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, public hearing on PH 10 is now closed. Someone like to introduce the ordinance?
Introduced.
The ordinance has been introduced. Please call the roll.
An ordinance of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, approving pursuant to Section 47-18.26 of the City of Fort Lauderdale Unified Land Development Regulations, the location of a stormwater pump station and associated facilities as public purpose uses and structures within a residential single-family medium density RS8 zoning district on a property legally described as all of Lot 12, Block 1, Dorsey Park, First Edition, according to the plat thereof, as recorded in Plat Book 21, page 30 of the Public Records of Broward County, Florida, said land situate, lying and being in the city of Fort Lauderdale, Broward County, Florida, containing 5,650 square feet more or less and identified by the United States Postal Service address 515 Northwest 15th Avenue, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, granting relief from Section 47-5.11, Section 47-25.3 ADI, and Section 47-5.31 of the ULDR, providing for conflicts, providing for an effective date, and providing for conditions for the termination of public purpose status. Commissioner Beasley Pittman? Yes. Commissioner Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst? Yes. Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and PH 10 is now approved. Moving on to OFR 1. This is an ordinance of first reading, an ordinance amending the City of Fort Lauderdale Chapter 8-144, Section 17, private use of public property abutting waterways by repealing subsection 17 thereof. Anyone have any questions? Andre Dreyfus, you signed up to speak. Andre, you here? There you are. You just to respond to questions? Okay. Anyone else wish to speak on this? There being none, and I guess there's no closing of public hearing. So, someone like to introduce the ordinance?
Introduced.
It's been introduced. Please call the roll.
An ordinance of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinance of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Section 8-144, entitled Private Use of Public Property Abutting Waterways by repealing the existing text of Section 8-14417, renumbering the existing text of Code Section 8-14418 to the amended text of Code Section 8-14417, providing for scrivener's errors, providing for severability, providing for repeal of conflicting provisions, and providing for an effective date. Commissioner Beasley Pittman? Yes. Commissioner Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst? Yes. Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and OFR 1 is now approved on first reading. OSR 1, second reading, an ordinance amending Section 2-151 of the Code of Ordinances relating to the settlement of claims. No one has signed up to speak. Someone like to introduce the ordinance? The ordinance has been introduced. Please call the roll.
An ordinance of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, amending Chapter 2, Article 5 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, by amending Section 2-151, titled Settlement of Claims, amending 2 of the 4 levels of authority for settlement of claims by adding the risk manager as one of the authorized approvers at the 2nd level and by adding the city attorney as one of the authorized approvers at the 3rd level, providing for severability, providing for conflicts and repeal, providing for correction of scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date. Commissioner Beasley Pittman? Yes. Commissioner Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst? Yes. Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and OSR 1 is now approved on second reading. OSR 2, second reading. This is a quasi-judicial ordinance approving a rezoning from residential multifamily mid-rise, medium-high density, RMM 25, district to Northwest Regional Activity Center Mixed Use West District, 728 Northwest 3rd Street, 204 and 216 Northwest 8th Avenue. Anyone wishing to speak must be sworn in, and the commission will announce any site visits, communications, or expert opinions received and make them a part of the record. Commissioner Herbst, do you have any additional disclosures? Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
No additional.
I have no additional. Vice Mayor?
No additional.
And Commissioner Sturman?
Met with Stephanie Toothaker.
Okay. No one has signed up to speak except Stephanie Toothaker, just to respond to questions. Okay. Do I hear a motion to close public hearing?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman? Yes. Commissioner Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst? Yes. Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and public hearing on OSR 2 is now closed. Do I hear, would someone like to introduce the ordinance?
Introduced.
The ordinance has been introduced. Please call the roll.
An ordinance amending Section 47-1.6B of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida Unified Land Development Regulations through the revision of the official zoning map of the City of Fort Lauderdale and Schedule A revised compilation attached thereto and by reference made a part thereof so as to rezone from residential multifamily mid-rise medium-high density district to Northwest Regional Activity Center mixed-use west district, all of lots 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18, Block D, Fort Lauderdale Land and Development Company, Block 6, according to the plat thereof, as recorded in Plat Book 6, Plat Book 1, page 57 of the Public Records of Dade County, Florida, located north of Northwest 2nd Street, east of Northwest 8th Avenue, northwest of Northwest 7th Avenue, and south of Northwest 3rd Street, all said lands being in the City of Fort Lauderdale, Broward County, Florida, containing 84,520 square feet or 1.9403 acres, more or less. Commissioner Beasley Pittman? Yes. Commissioner Sturman? Yes. Commissioner Herbst? Yes. Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and OSR 2 is now approved on second reading. OSR 3, second reading, quasi-judicial ordinance approving a rezoning from residential multifamily mid-rise, medium-high density RMM 25 district and exclusive use parking XP to Northwest Regional Activity Center mixed-use Northeast District. I'm not going to read all those numbers. Anyone wishing to speak must be sworn in. The commission will announce any site visits, communications, or expert opinions received and make them a part of the record. Any additional disclosures, Commissioner Herbst? Commissioner Beasley Pittman? I have no additional.
None.
Vice Mayor?
No additional.
No additional.
No additional, okay. 72 Thaker is signed up to speak, only to respond to questions. Someone like to move to close public hearing?
Moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman? Yes. Commissioner Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst? Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and public hearing is now closed on OSR 3. Would someone like to introduce the ordinance?
Introduced.
It's been introduced. Please call the roll.
An ordinance amending Section 47-1.6B of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida Unified Land Development Regulations through the revision of the official zoning map of City of Fort Lauderdale and Schedule A revised compilation attached thereto and by reference made a part thereof so as to rezone from residential multifamily mid-rise medium high density and exclusive use parking districts to Northwest Regional Activity Center Mixed Use Northwest District, all of lots 25 through 40, Block 259, Progresso, according to the plat thereof as recorded in Plat Book 2, page 18 of the Public Records of Dade County, Florida, located north of Northwest 8th Street, east of North Andrews Avenue, west of Northwest 1st Avenue, and south of Northwest 9th Street, all said lands being in the City of Fort Lauderdale, Broward County, Florida. Commissioner Beasley Pittman? Yes. Commissioner Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst? Yes. Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and OSR 3 is now approved on second reading. Congratulations. We have one walk-on, which was handed to us earlier this evening, a resolution rescinding Resolution 24-105 and approving a resolution delegating authority to the city manager to execute a temporary beach license and outdoor event agreement, or both, with either the Florida Panthers Hockey Club Limited or the Florida Panthers Foundation. I guess that's to correct an omission or an error and to contribute up to $100,000. Apparently, this is done in anticipation of success on behalf of the Panthers upon winning the Stanley Cup. Someone like to introduce the resolution?
Introduced.
Any questions? Of course, no one signed up to speak, but please call the roll.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, rescinding Resolution Number 24-105, approving a resolution delegating authority to the city manager to execute a temporary beach license and/or outdoor event agreement with either the Florida Panthers Hockey Club Ltd., which is limited, or the Florida Panthers Foundation, Inc., for a postseason event in the City of Fort Lauderdale Beach, and all other documents or instruments deemed necessary or incidental thereto, providing funding for the event and providing for an effective date. Commissioner Beasley Pittman? Yes. Commissioner Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst? Yes. Vice Mayor Glassman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and that walk-on resolution is now approved. Madam City Manager, do you have any additional business?
I do not.
Mr. Ansbro, do you have any?
No, sir.
Any additional business? Do you have none? Any further business of this commission? There being none, this meeting is adjourned.
Go Cats. Good job.
Yes.